Hey, and welcome to Dr. G Speaks. I am Dr. Kristen Guillory, and I am so very excited to help you experience a life of freedom, faith, and fun you may not even realize is possible. Listen, I know you feel held back, I know you feel stuck, and I know you are hiding. As a coach and the author of Look, Stop Hiding, How to Find Your Voice and Never Dim Your Light Again, you will get to listen to some amazing stories, receive some homework, that's the professor in me, and get some tools to help you live the life you deserve. It's time to quiet the noise and walk in the fullness of who God created you to be. It's time to stop hiding and start thriving. Together, we'll uncover your potential and ignite your journey to a fulfilling life, a life of freedom. I was invited to join a sister circle recently, and we were making vision boards, but a vision bingo card. So you put it in sections and you leave a free space and just kind of fill it in with things you want. So the ladies were lovely. It was a really good time. I don't really often do vision boards. I do scripting. So I write out letters to the Lord. I write out things as if they've already happened. And I was open to the experience. As we're doing our thing, cutting in the magazines and using markers, there was a woman sitting at the kitchen counter. And she said, I don't know what to put on my vision board. She said, because every time I create a vision board, the things happen, they come to pass. And I don't know what to ask for because I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I have everything that I desire. And for me, it was something that I didn't even know I needed to hear. It was something that spoke to me, and I think some of the other ladies as well. The sitting in the gratitude of the things on our prayer list or vision boards that have come to pass. Y'all, I've been part of the culture around chasing the next thing. But what if the most powerful moment isn't reaching the next goal? It's the pause after you do reach the goal. And not just pausing, but reflecting and sitting in and celebrating and being grateful. We accomplish and do amazing things every day. If I just look at those who are earning degrees or those who have earned degrees, as someone who has multiple degrees and as someone who is a professor, it didn't hit me until I was a professor that my students were doing amazing work and at times hard work. Especially if you were one of my students, I gave you a lot of work. I remember asking one of my graduate classes, how many of you are ever grateful for the work? Like, do you ever think about the assignment? And they're like, oh, absolutely not. We're hoping to hurry up and graduate. Of course, if you're in school, you want to graduate. And I remember thinking, but then once you graduate, you're not celebrating the graduation. You are looking for a job. And then once you get the job, you then want another job or you want a raise. And when are we ever really reflecting on everything that was required to accomplish it? It's the first time marathon runner who just spent months training and conditioning your body, and you run the marathon and you celebrate. And 2 days later, you're okay, I'm going to do the next marathon, as opposed to what if I just sat in it a little bit longer? So today we're talking about one of the practices that is rarely encouraged, and it's the practice of stopping. But not just stopping for any reason, stopping to sit in what you've built, to sit in the feeling, to sit in the celebrations, to sit in the accomplishments, just to sit in it before your brain is already 3 moves ahead. I know my brain works like that. I know that I have been there in accomplishing something. Yes, I'll celebrate it kind of, and then I'm on to the next. There was a study in 2021 from UC Davis that found that people who actively practice gratitude and reflection show a 23% reduction in stress hormones, i.e., cortisol. 19% improvement in sleep quality, and 16% increase in overall life satisfaction. Yet, 67% of high achievers report practicing gratitude less than once a week, if at all. And even as I read that statistic, I thought about myself. There have been times in my life where I literally sat in gratitude every single day. Every day. I wrote a gratitude list. I wrote a prayer for myself, a prayer for other people every day. And I can see a difference in me at the time when I was doing that compared to the times where I wasn't doing it. It wasn't daily gratitude. And there's a significant difference I know in myself. Research from Harvard Medical School's Harvard study of adult development reveals that reflection on progress, not just future planning, is the single strongest predictor of sustained well-being. Is the single strongest predictor of sustained well-being. People who regularly reflect on their wins show 41% higher resilience in the face of future setbacks. Y'all, these things don't cost any money to sit in our wins, to reflect. Our brains are wired to adapt to achievement within 4 to 6 weeks, returning to the baseline happiness unless we deliberately pause and process the win. The brain says, goal reached, dopamine hit. Now, what's next? Y'all, it's not laziness, it's neurology. What's interesting, we are a society that is go, 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 on to the next, on to the next. We're on to the next. And research has also found that people who pause for reflection, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes a week, y'all, that's it, complete goals 34% faster the next time and report 38% higher enjoyment during the process. Y'all, the pause actually increases velocity, but we skip it anyway. So, a study that I was introduced to about 12 years ago when I was a trainer for Blue Zones Project, I was a purpose workshop facilitator. And I was introduced to a study, I believe by Brony Ware, and they interviewed people who were at the end of life to ask what was the number one regret that they had. And the top two regrets, number one was, I wish that I'd reflected more on my life. Number two was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. They look back and say, I wish I would have just reflected on everything that I've done. I don't want regrets. The woman in the sister circle, there she was, surrounded by vision boards and markers, and she said something. I don't know what else I want because I've already received what I've asked for, and I'm grateful. Y'all, when is the last time you did that? Or even if it's, I don't know what else I want, you may want some other things, but you know what? I'm not going to request it right now because I'm so grateful. A couple of years ago, one of my amazing clients who very successful, had different goals professionally and personally all the time, goals reached. She made a decision that I had never seen someone make, especially high achievers and ambitious people would probably consider it insane. She said to me, my goal for next year is no new goals. I just want to enjoy where I am and be open. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was beautiful. And what was so beautiful to watch was that so many amazing doors opened. And I don't just mean work related, but just what if I don't ask for any new goals? What if I don't set any new goals and ride out this wave of all these blessings and sit in the gratitude? About 16 years ago, I remember asking a colleague with a nationally recognized brand, do you ever sit back and reflect on what you've built? Do you ever sit back and reflect on these events you're hosting? And he said, no, I don't really have time for that. I have to go on to the next. That answer stayed with me. And I realized in some ways I've been him. I think most of us have been him. And we could be paying the price for just going on to the next. It doesn't mean don't still have goals. It doesn't mean don't have the plan. But what if I just truly sat in the gratitude of it all? And listen, I do sit in gratitude, I do reflect, but I've realized I can do it at another level. I hosted an event at the end of 2024 called the Extravaganza, which was the largest event I've ever hosted on my own. A 3-day event at a beautiful hotel, over 200 people there, and hired an event planning team. It was a beautiful event. And while I did sit back and reflect, I didn't reflect as much as I should have. And it doesn't mean that I can't reflect now. Even as I'm thinking about this, all the things that had to take place for that event to happen. I booked the venue while I was in the middle of the ocean in Iceland. It came together with so much ease. All the people who attended, whether they were local in Dallas or flew in, the hotel, the event planning team, the coordination, the breakthroughs that happened, the connections that occurred there. And again, I sat in the gratitude, but I didn't sit in it enough. I didn't. I even had a friend that encouraged me because about 1.5 weeks after the extravaganza, I was leaving to go to South Africa. And a friend of mine said, when you get there and you're looking at nature, take time to reflect on the extravaganza. And I didn't. I allowed something to take my attention at that time, and then my attention went to this other place. If I take time to sit back and reflect on my next level coaching programs, we just completed the 8th cohort in the last 8 years. And I know I need to sit in and reflect on all of what's involved in that, all of the amazing clients, all of the coordination, all of what I did, all of what my team did, all of what God did, and just sat in it. And for me, I am going to start with the radical gratitude, radical pausing today. So this episode is almost a declaration that I'm making for accountability that I am going to choose radical gratitude and pause. I am currently out of town. I attended a 3-day conference and connected, learned. I did the sister circle, met up with a friend, other things happened, and I am going to spend some time before I go on to the next. And here is how lovely that conviction was with the amazing woman saying, I don't have any new goals right now. 3 days ago, keeping it 100 with y'all, 3 days ago, I wrote down, okay, on Monday, today is Monday. On Monday, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And yesterday, I came back to my hotel room and I wrote, I'm actually not going to work on anything planning wise for the next 5 to 7 days. So my time today, I'm going to sit in gratitude. I am going to complete a social media post that I'm going to create, but just really sit in the depth of the pause and the reflection of everything that was required for this weekend to even happen. And then if I have time, which I know I will, I'm then just going to take a step back and then reflect on Rest a Retreat for Black Women that my sister and I hosted, our 4th one in 2026. And it was our first one internationally. And my confession is I haven't really sat in the complete gratitude of that experience of locating a beautiful luxury villa and everything working so well there, to the women who were there, the amazing 16 women who were all hand selected by the Lord to be there. And if I were to sit in the individual breakthroughs from each woman, if I were to sit in my breakthroughs and what I learned, if I were to sit in that I'm doing this with my sister, just to sit in it. And then if I take a step back even before that and sit in next level and everything from there, if I take a moment and sit back into, I brought on coaches to my team for the first time, if I go back and reflect on prayers that I've prayed recently and God answered them immediately, if I sit back and just reflect on how I grew. So, just really the beauty of gratitude. And hearing her yesterday was a beautiful kick in the hiney reminder for me to, yes, you can write a gratitude list, but do you sit in it? When I went on my sabbatical in 2024, one thing that almost every person reflected when they met me was, I can tell you're so grateful. I can tell you're so grateful. And people still say that about me today. I am truly grateful. And I know I have not paused enough to truly reflect, to truly look at everything that was accomplished, because I know what I don't want. I don't want to continue achieving these beautiful things and never really deeply sit in the beauty. And it doesn't even have to be something as grandiose as I'm mentioning. It could be a friend of mine and I are planning an overnight trip to Vegas. And that is something of just reflecting on the quickness of the Lord. One of my prayers was, God, I would love an additional travel buddy, somebody that has the flexibility, wants to travel, has the finances to travel. And I just prayed that very recently. I mean, in the last 5 weeks, it was a very recent prayer. And it was, God, is it somebody new? Is it somebody that I'm already friends with? And I was listening to a voice note from a friend of mine who was mentioning, oh, I'm going to do a day trip to Vegas to go do this. And I messaged her back, hey, I don't know if you're open, but if you're open to someone joining you, I would love to join. And she responded and said, oh my gosh, I was actually wanting somebody to join. I just didn't know. And I told her, you are an answered prayer. And she was honored by hearing that. And she was like, absolutely. I am down to travel anytime. Just need to, check schedules and things like that. Sometimes the sitting in the gratitude is in how God answered the prayer. Sitting in the gratitude of, wow, I was able to safely make it to this city where I am for the conference, or safely make it home, and reflect on, God, thank you for protection. Thank you for all you've done. Y'all, what do you think would happen if you pause? I know back in the day, like stopping and pausing was so weird. And I don't really know what I thought would happen. I think I was like, no, I'm supposed to always be working. Right. So if you pause or stop, what are you afraid is going to happen? Will you lose momentum? Will you become complacent? Will somebody else pass you? Like, get really honest about that. Like, just taking a moment to really, really pause. Where did you learn that the only goal worth celebrating is the next one? Was it a parent, a boss, a coach, the culture? Where did this on to the next programming originate? Honestly, I don't think for me it's one place. I think it's just what's in the fabric of our society. It is, you graduate high school, now we're going to college. You go to college, now we go to this. You go to this, now you go to that. I mean, everything is on to the next, as opposed to graduate high school and then take some intentional time to sit in the gratitude of everything that you overcame and did in high school. Graduate college, I think that should be a part of our like requirements and things. Sit in what you've done. I can think back to this business that I built. I remember even a friend of mine in 2019, we were talking and I let her know some financial wins. And she just said, friend, do you see how fast that happened? Less than a year ago, you didn't really have any money in your bank account. And today you have that figure, you have that amount. And she didn't say, have you sat in it? But I remember being convicted, like, oh my gosh, I haven't really sat in this. I was talking to another friend recently, and this is a friend who believes that I can do everything. Like, is there anything you can't do? I'm like, yes, there's plenty I can't do. And he was saying, yeah, but if you learned it, you could do it. And I said, well, I can't build things. I don't build shelves. He said, you built a whole freaking speaker empire. And I appreciated him saying that. He's like, what are you talking about? You did. And I did. And I'm going to pause even more. Question: if your only job for 1 week was to reflect on and celebrate what you've already accomplished with zero planning for new goals, when you think about that, what comes up for you? Relief, guilt, joy, anxiety? Take time to do that. I want to give you an invitation. What if the most ambitious thing you could do this quarter or this week or today is not set a new goal, but actually integrate and marinate in the ones you've already reached? What changes about how you see yourself? I want you to think about your future self at 85, and she's sitting with you or he's sitting with you. She's not asking what else you achieved. She's asking, did you feel what you accomplished? Did you know why it mattered? Did you let it change you? What is the 85-year-old you asking you to do differently starting today? The 85-year-old me is telling me, for me, two things. Keep doing that strength training, but make sure you start it and are consistent. And sit in and reflect on everything that you've built. The 85-year-old me is saying to me, do you recognize that you have had 3 different careers where people would dream of one of them? You had a career in the nonprofit social work space. You had a successful career as a professor. You are a successful speaker. You've had a career as a speaker. You have a career as a coach, and you're expanding. And just to sit in the glory and the awe in all of that. If you gave yourself permission to pause, really pause, not just for a day, but for a real reflection period, what would you want yourself to understand about yourself, your journey, what you've built? So I have a practice activity for you. I want you to pull out your vision board, your affirmation list, your goals list, something you wrote this year or last year. Go find it. You can pause this or listen and re-listen, but go find that. The vision board, the desires list, the dreams list, the dreams letter, my to-do, like go find that. Go find that list. And I want to invite you to go through the list. I want you to read through the list. Take your time through the list. No new ones, no new lists, no new vision boards. It needs to be a vision board or list that's at least 6 months old, at least. The screenshots, the journals, the prayers, your notes app, the letters you wrote to yourself or the Lord, the things you said one day. I want you to look at them. And I want you to create 3 categories. So get a marker, get some highlighters, get a pencil, whether you're highlighting in a different color, you are doing a check box, or you're circling an underline, whatever it is. And I want you to have 3 categories: done, in progress, no longer a goal, and God surprised me. So done, in progress, no longer a goal. God surprised me. And just go through. Just go through. Because sometimes the blessing didn't come in the package you expected. So that's the God surprised me. Done. Oh my gosh, it happened. In progress. It's happening, even if it doesn't look exactly like you imagined, even if it didn't happen in the time you thought. You are not behind. God restores time. You might be looking at it and saying, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done that thing 5 years ago, or not made that mistake 5 years ago, or paused 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago. Listen, God can do in a week what it would take you and multiple people to do in 3 years. How much of your current life used to be something you asked God for? I've heard people say, be very careful of complaining about the thing that was once a prayer, that blessing in your life that you once prayed for, and we go on to the next. I have done it. I've done it. What have you accomplished that you moved past too quickly to actually celebrate? What have you accomplished that you moved past too quickly to celebrate? Because y'all, God is a good God. He's a God of blessings and abundance, and we actually are being blessed every day. But because of the idea that I have to be accomplishing 30 things a day or on to the next, or so focused on how many steps you walked, I have to do 10,000 steps and I have to eat this. And maybe you had a week that wasn't a great week, but reflect on the previous weeks that were good, or reflect on that you got started. And I've been there. I've been there. And truth, I was there a little bit. My movement and my eating was in alignment with me and my capacity. It was, I like eating clean and a lot of water. Then I spent 4 or 5 days not overeating, but just eating what I normally don't eat. And I have a sensitivity to processed food. So I ate some chips and I ate, I think, some candy and I had some pizza. And I experienced a little bit of inflammation, which I do. And I remember being really irritated with myself, like, oh, why did you do that? Like you already know, as opposed to, wait, you know that if you eat something that's processed, you're going to have some inflammation. It's okay. You're aware that's going to happen. And you also felt really good when you were hanging out with your nephews, enjoying pizza with them. And you know the inflammation is going to go down. So for me, it is, what's my rhythm to still honor how I feel, but not be so strict that I move into the place where I may potentially binge. And I don't want to do that. So it would be reflection. It would be okay, disappointed in this, but look how much your blah, blah, blah has improved. I've stopped making weight an idol. The eating is not for a certain goal. It is, I feel good when I eat this way. It's reflecting on that I'm really healthy, like reflecting on when I go to the doctor and they say that, as opposed to I would have gone on to the next. Okay, let me go on to the next. Let me start flushing this out with water, which is fine. But to reflect on the lesson, reflect on what I've done. So I'm very appreciative of the brilliant woman at the Sister Circle who said, I don't really know what to put on my vision board because I'm so grateful. And this is the place I want to be. Well, ma'am, me too. Your affirmation for today. The greatest gift I can give myself and my accomplishments is the time to feel them, to understand them, to celebrate them, and to let them transform me. Thank you so much for listening to the Dr. G Speaks podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.